Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS, and Ascension, now. Anyway, now that Senashira has established dominance among the Bhaal spawn, we're going to be heading into a largely role-playing segment, and we're going to be teleported elsewhere very soon. And all of the loot that's on the ground is going to be transported with us, but I am going to loot all of these guys already, especially Ilasera. And from her belongings, we might be able to discover why she had that nickname, The Quick, and that's because she had another pair of Boots of Speed, and this is going to be our fourth one. And actually, very soon we are going to be able to get 2 more of these, so we are not too far off from the point at which our whole party is going to be able to move at double the speed, which is very nice. She also had a scroll of Sphere of Chaos and a potion of magic protection, dagger +2, Sylvan chain +2, which is one of these chainmails that allow spellcasting and using of thieving abilities. Also a ring of the princes, ring of protection +1 that we have many spares of, and some arrows +3 that we're going to hold on to, and the rest we're going to sell. In general, these guys just have some basic equipment and quite a few of these large Throne of Bhaal healing potions. So we're going to hold on to the potions, of course, and to some of their basic loot for selling later. I think we are going to wait with selling those like basic things they have until a little bit later, because we're going to eventually unlock a very good merchant in Throne of Bhaal that has some very nice premium prices, but that's not going to happen until a little bit later, and I think we're going to wait with all of those goodies to sell until he is available. And yeah, this dual-wielding fighter here had a scimitar +3 and a dagger +3, so these are going to sell for a little bit more. And yeah, while we still have Edwin, we're going to talk about him in a second, we can still use his superior lore to identify stuff. And yeah, now while we're on the topic, we can show how we have prepared Edwin for what's to come. We have allowed him to keep his robe of the evil Archmagi so that he can look like a respectable wizard that he is, but all of his other stuff we have either dropped on the ground, and that is of course is going to get transported with us, so no worries here. And some of his other items we have already transferred onto other characters, like for example Imoen now has the Staff of the Magi and his boots, and Kiranai got his Ring of Regeneration that he previously had on. And yeah, there are going to be some changes, but now all that we need to do is just wait and see what is to come.
I greet you, godchild. You who are of divine blood. I have awaited you.
So yeah, we got transported to a different place, a different plane of some sort, and we're being greeted by a Solar, which is the most powerful of the celestial angelic beings from the line of Devas, Planetars, and Solars are the highest tier, the most powerful of them. So we can ask her, where am I? Am I dreaming?
How would you define a dream? If as a fleeting path without true substance, then this is no dream. I have brought you to this place, and it is real.
Why did you bring me here?
I have existed since the first strand of fate was woven, a servant of the paths and the gods. I have watched your own path most carefully. Our own servant, who was the mortal Alondo, spake the truth that became prophecy. It tells of your coming and of all the others who are the progeny of Bhaal. The spark of the divine rests within all of Bhaal's children, and the time for their joining is nigh. I am here to aid you, godchild.
And asking her about that aid is going to progress the conversation further, and in general when it comes to the conversations I'm always going to aim to first ask all the available questions that we can have and then progress further. So we can ask about, what is this place?
This is the lair of the Abyss, once ruled by your sire, Bhaal. You have been here before, although it was altered then by your own consciousness.
And she refers here to the time at the end of Shadows of Amn, where we have, transformed this place in a way where we had to complete these trials to discover the way to our soul, to get that insight to be able to find it again and confront Irenicus and restore it. And yeah, in general, when it comes to Throne of Bhaal, this is going to be a very introspective experience, very focused on the Bhaal spawn, of course. And along the way, we're going to have many opportunities to reflect on many aspects of what it means to be a Bhaal spawn, and you know, kind of think more closely about our actions, about what has happened so far in the saga. It's going to be awesome from a role-playing sense. Anyway, why do you know, or what do you know of the prophecy exactly?
The progeny of Bhaal are many, and now they are quickly being extinguished, their spark returning to its source. An event unfolds of divine significance, Godchild. You are central to this event. Many are the strings of fate that start or pass through you. The end, I cannot see. I must shepherd you through this time as best I can.
This is a bit of a silly question, but it is going to provide us with some more insight. How do I know this isn't some sort of a trick?
I am not here to fool or harm you, Godchild. I may only teach, and you are free to consider my words and deem them false if you wish. There is no consequence.
So just how can you help me exactly?
I cannot interfere. I can only prepare you, Godchild. Aid in your education. You who are most unready to assume your destiny.
What do you mean?
I mean only that you are unready for the possibilities that await you. Your mortal mind does not readily comprehend the power in your blood. When you were last in your sire's realm, Godchild, it was altered by your own consciousness, without you even forming the intent to do so. You are not ready for the power. You must be ready. It is your presence which determines the outcome of the prophecy, although even I cannot see it yet. When the time comes, you will be ready. I will make certain.
And yeah, so the Solar is going to be our friend, our teacher of sorts, and she is right here in saying that, you know, we are not ready for the power. We don't really comprehend the extent of, you know, how we can transform this realm, for example, and what is the full extent of our, like, divine, godly powers. And we had no one to really guide us through this kind of process. We weren't able to really investigate the prophecies of Alando all that much and get familiar with who we are and all of our powers that are kind of dormant, I guess, deep inside of us. So she is going to help with that throughout the course of Throne of Bhaal. And no matter what we answer here, this is going to lead to the end of the conversation. So you might ask, for example, what is going to happen?
Power comes with knowledge, Godchild. It shall come to you in time, as your destiny unfolds. I shall see you soon. Until then, hold your heart close, and know that you are not alone.
So, you have finally arrived. I have been waiting for you.
Sarevok again? And now our BG1 companions are going to have quite a few things to say upon seeing Sarevok yet again. Sarevok, what are you doing here? Get away from us. And Jaheira, Sarevok, by the sacred oath of Sylvanas, is there no end to you? Must your foulness be stamped out only to return evermore? What can you want with us? Oh, it is you again. Well, I suppose it holds true that a good villain never knows how to die properly the first couple of times, yes? Silence. I have waited for Senashira, and my words are for her only. Didn't I kill you the last time in hell? You did indeed, although that was no fault of mine. It was you that summoned me then, even if the words were my own. I have done nothing but attempt to reform myself since. As you will recall, it is your will that shapes our Father's realm, whether you are aware of what you do or not. I myself am nothing now but the shadow you see before you. And here also, like I said, I'm always going to attempt to like go through such a conversation path that is going to give us the most lines, I guess, out of people we're talking to. So we can actually do this one. Shadow or not, I'll destroy you again. You cannot destroy me, Senashira, as I am nothing but a shade, and I wager you don't possess the power to force me to leave your home. What do you mean, home? I don't live here. You do not know where you are, do you? You did not come here on purpose? Haha, what a bitter irony this is. You who stumble about nearly blind to your true power continue to survive, while I, Sarevok, am reduced to this. Bah! Very well, Senashira, I shall tell you where you are. You are within our father's abyssal realm, sister. That plane once ruled by Bhaal, and now shaped by the taint present in your soul, but no longer present in mine. You have been here before. This is a cocoon of sorts, a miniature version of our father's larger realm, sort of a plane within a plane. I assumed your mind formed it to protect you from the power of this place. Rather ingenious, dear sister. I wouldn't have thought you'd had it in you. Regardless, I spotted it forming and guessed at its purpose. So I came here and waited, knowing that eventually you would come, and that then we could discuss my deal. Actually, before, when we, chose when we chose this conversation option, actually, I confused it with what's coming now. They're basically like whatever you say, it leads to that question about the home realm and him mocking us, not knowing where we are. But here, actually, before we ask about the deal, we can say this. Tell me how to get out of here. That's all I want to know. And where would you go? This is not a building, dear sister. This is the entire plane. And unless you've acquired plane traveling abilities since last we met, there is only one way out of here. I know what it is, but you do not. Nor, I suspect, do you have the time or patience to learn on your own. Accept my proposal, Senashira, and I will tell you. Alright, tell me your proposal then. What do you want? What do you think I would want, dear sister? I wish to exist. I wish to be alive again. You can do that. The smallest fraction of your soul, my sister, given freely, with the taint of our dead father within it. That would recreate my flesh, restore my mortality. Sarevok would live again. I killed you once before. What makes you think I would want to return you to life? I do not come to the table empty-handed, Senashira. You think me a fool? You are stronger than me. I do not contest that. But I can help you, and that has its price. And just how is it that you can help me? There is the knowledge of how to leave this plane of yours, Senashira. That is one thing I can give you, although I did not know that when I came here. No, what I offer you is knowledge that is much more relevant, something that dates back to my mortal days when I was gaining power within the Iron Throne, something that you will find most intriguing. I know where your destiny lies, Senashira. I know where you must go to find it. Search about on your own, and it will soon be too late. The time of the old prophecies is upon us, or upon you at least. What say you? And here we again can, before progressing the conversation, we can ask about a couple of things. And just what do you intend to do with your new life? I do not know. Avoid crossing you, dear sister, certainly that. My ambition was everything once. Now that the taint is gone, I am unsure, but I wish to live. Tell me now, and I'll judge whether your information is worth it. I am no fool. I struggled just to get here after you destroyed me last, and I know that events move on even as we speak. You have no time to learn these things on your own, and I will never get another opportunity such as this. So knowledge? That's all you're offering for a piece of my soul? Bah! Knowledge is more important than anything, fool. And what I ask for is but a spark of the divine taint within you. I will be no ball spawn, my own taint long gone, but I will be alive again. And just how did you come by this supposed knowledge? I gathered much of the old lore when I was alive, my sister. As you will recall, it was my goal to assume the mantle of our father. I am dead, perhaps, but the lore still holds true, for you. And what's to stop me from killing you just again after you tell me all this? Nothing, perhaps. Doing so would not return to you that which you freely gave, however. Jesus, my brain is just not working anymore, man. I hate not being able to read properly and just stumbling over more words, but... Anyway, and what would you kill me for? Revenge? You had your revenge. Do you truly blame my old ambition? I would do the same again if I could. I cannot, however, and you've nothing to fear in me. Alright, so now we have exhausted all of these question opportunities, and here if we go here, or if we agree, this is going to progress. So is there no other way of restoring you? Perhaps there is. Any divine spark will do, no matter which of Bhaal's children it comes from. I truly doubt our other dear little sibling here has half the courage required, however. He's talking about me, isn't he? Part of my soul will bring him back to life too. Figure that all Figured that out all on your own, did you? While the thought of harboring a spark of your sugary sweet soul for eternity does not exactly fill me with joy, yes, it would provide just as well. I'm not as sweet as you think, Sarevok, and you don't deserve a second chance at life. You killed Gorion. I killed far more than he, dear Imoen, in the course of my ambition. Ask yourself how many you have killed, or Senashira. Are you so innocent? Was Gorion? I ask for no forgiveness. Nor would you get it. I don't know, Senashira. He doesn't deserve life, but if it's important, I'll give up part of my soul. You saved mine from Bodhi. You shouldn't have to sacrifice again. And now, none of this really matters in a gameplay sense. This is not going to make any of us any weaker. This is a very tiny fraction of our soul. So whether it's Senashira or Imoen, this is not going to matter in their power when it comes to gameplay. But what it does matter in is some conversations. Of course, this one, whether we choose Imoen to perform the deed or Senashira, this is going to, of course, lead to a slightly different conversation. And then later on, if it was Imoen that gave him a little part of her soul, they are going to have a banter between each other, talking about that. But for role-playing reasons, I am going to have Senashira give him a part of her soul, and just going to post some screenshots to showcase how this conversation would look here, after giving him a part of Imoen's soul, and then later on at some point I'm going to showcase that banter that they have between each other. So anyway, here we go. No, Imoen, I won't allow you to give up part of your soul for me. There is no other way, Senashira, unless you have another ball spawn about that I am unaware of. It is your spark or nothing. Choose. So be it. I agree. So I have cheated death. Thank you, dear sister. No gift could please me more.
I live, flesh and blood and bone. I am alive! I swore I would scratch and crawl my way back into the world of the living, and I have done it!
Yes! There are going to be some interjections. Yeah, apparently Sarevok is an abomination in the eyes of Animen. Not truly dead, not truly alive. I hope you know what you are doing. Though my sword and armor have not appeared. No matter. Without the ball essence to channel their powers, they are of little use. I shall make do without them, as I once did. Thank you, Senashira. I am pleased. That's odd. I don't feel any different. Did I not say it was only an insignificant portion? I suspected that doing it here, in this place, it might work, but I was not sure. It is good to see that I was correct after all. You weren't sure that it would work? I knew it. You were bluffing the whole time. I did not get to where I did in life without risk, fool. It was no bluff. I knew enough to suspect that it might work, since our heritage was the same. But none of that is important. I imagine you are eager to hear what I have to say. The first thing I shall tell you of is how to leave this pocket plane that you have created. It is an extension of your will, Senashira. It exists because you need it to exist. It is this plane which creates the portal out, but it will not take you where you wish to go. It takes you where you need to be, or perhaps where you believe you need to be. But I cannot give you the ability to make this plane create such a portal. There are many barred passages in this plane of yours that I know little of. One, however, I can open, and beyond it lies what you seek. Watch. You suddenly know with a strange certainty that in the room beyond lies a challenge. You somehow know that you must face an aspect of yourself or your fears, but no...
Do not presume.
But not why or how. Didn't want to speak over Sarevok here, although that's his general selection sound. Enter that room and face your challenge, Senashira. It will be difficult. You may not want to do it alone. There is a spirit here which can summon those companions you require for your party, if you require such. And yeah, these challenges, we're going to speak about them a little bit later. Regardless, once you have completed that challenge, you will be able to leave this plane of yours. It does not, however, take you where you wish to go. It takes you where you need to be. And I, as I said, know where that is.
In my youth, I spent much of my time looking into the old lore of the dead Bhaal priesthood. I unearthed one of the old prophecies from an uncooperative sect of Sirik, one that spoke extensively of this time now upon us. The Sword Coast will run red with blood, yes. but the battles will culminate in a great struggle within a city to the south, the Tetherian city of Saradush. It is there that you must go, where the first step of the prophecy will unfold.
Although, naturally, you must face your challenge first. And here again, we can ask a couple of questions first. Aren't you still a child of Bhaal? No. Bhaal's essence left me as I died, and that which has been given to me now maintains my mortality only. Some might still consider me a Bhaal spawn, but it is solely a matter of history and memory. Well, I still consider you a Bhaal spawn, Sarevok, if that makes you feel better. So what will happen after I go to Saradush? Then the future begins. Then we will all see just how much of a role you are to play in this conflict, and if you can live up to our sire's heritage. How do I know I can trust what you say? Of course you cannot trust me. Why would you? Take me with you, Senashira. Take you with us, so we can betray us, stab us in the back? Why would we ever want you with us, Sarevok? I once was sure that the old prophecies centered around me. Even if that is no longer the case, I know more about them than perhaps anyone. I can help you, Senashira, with the challenge in that room and more. Of course, I do this for no selfless reason. There is power in your wake, Senashira. I am sure I am not the first to tell you this, and there is no better opportunity for me elsewhere. Besides, you defeated me long ago. You have earned my respect. Think of it, Senashira. Brother and sister, side by side. Yes! Yeah. I agree to that, man. We're going to get to that in a second. But there's still more conversation to be had. And what use might you be to me? Aside from the knowledge I retain, I am a warrior of no small ability. You fought me, Senashira. You would know. I have only become stronger from my time in Hell. Under one such as you, I could be greater still. And yeah, here we have to go with this one. How would I know that you wouldn't turn on me as soon as it suited you? I will take an oath to follow you, my sister, if that will satisfy. Here, in this place, such an oath would have power, like a Aegeus. I could not betray you. And now, this is a role-playing decision, whether we make him swear an oath to us or not. And I just want to talk about it a little bit already, because there is kind of a myth on the internet, or an incorrect opinion perpetuated sometimes, that if you do make him swear this oath or undertake this Aegeus, shifting his alignment is impossible because of that. But that is incorrect. It is possible, although just slightly more difficult. And basically what happens once we have Sarevok in our party, because of course we already know he offered us to join and we are going to have him, there is a possibility of changing his alignment from chaotic evil to a different one. And that is done over the course of conversations. There are 3 conversations with him, and basically depending on what we say, it's, you know, we either are going to be able to convince him of the errors of his previous ways or not. And basically there is a certain variable that we can call like a change variable or an alignment variable, and depending on the value of it, if it's at the end of these 3 conversations, if it's at 2 or more, he is going to be convinced and he is going to change his alignment, and if it's below 2, then he is not going to. And basically over the course of the 3 conversations that we will have with him, over the course of Throne of Bhaal, we can, you know, depending on what we say to him, sometimes the value of that variable can rise or decrease. And yeah, at the end of these, also in the 3rd conversation, I think there are some things that you can say that outright block the ability for him to change his alignment. But generally, it's about like increasing or decreasing the value of that variable. And also, just for you know, being entirely correct, there are more conversations with Sarevok. There's also one after he changes alignment or doesn't change alignment. So you know, in total we have 4, but the 3 first ones influence whether he is going to change his alignment or not. But anyway, for role-playing purposes, we are not going to require him to to take the oath. Oh, and by the way, the first conversation that we have with him is going to refer to the oath, or the fact that we didn't require it of him. And basically why I say that it's slightly easier to change his alignment if you don't make him swear an oath is because in that conversation we have 2 opportunities to increase the value of that variable, so we can already progress it up to 2. Whereas if we do make him swear an oath, we only have 1 conversation option in there to increase it by 1. But that doesn't, matter. There's plenty of opportunities over the course of the 3 conversations to increase it to the required value. And like I said, for role-playing reasons, not having, his alignment change in mind, but just for role-playing reasons, we're not going to require it of him. You will not require an oath? An odd choice, sister. I would have required it of you, if I had even let you live. As you wish then, let us attend to your challenge. Remember, consider that you may need more companions to complete it. Yeah, and there is going to be a spirit. We're going to that will allow us to summon some companions. We're going to explore that option in a second. This is also a good comment here from Jahira. Bring him if you wish. It is your mistake to make. I refuse to acknowledge his existence. And yeah, of course now we can have Sarevok. And this is when we have to say goodbye to Edwin, unfortunately.
One might assume that there is some logic behind asking such a skilled wizard as I to leave, but I shall be damned if I can figure it out.
Just wait here for a while. Well, certainly. There is so much to keep a great magus such as myself busy here. Look, a rock! How fascinating! So of course I am going to miss Edwin very, very much. By the way, here's Cespenar. Lets us know that he is there. We are going to talk with him as well. But first let's talk about the decision to get rid of Edwin here and switch him for Sarevok. And there are 2 reasons, 2 big reasons for such a decision. The first one, I mean, it's Sarevok, the arch-villain of Baldur's Gate 1, on our side now. Even though he has lost his ball-spawn essence upon death, he is still Sarevok, man, and I still consider him a ball-spawn. He's our brother, and now we can have 3 children of Bhaal, essentially, in our party. Senashira, Imoen, and Sarevok. And that's the ultimate group that's going to conquer everything that stands in their way. And that's just so cool, having him with us. And for me, it's almost like not playing Throne of Bhaal if you don't have Sarevok with you. And that's the role-playing reason. And the second one refers to gameplay, and it's to intentionally reduce the power of our party so that the fights in Throne of Bhaal are more difficult and more interesting. Because as cool of a character as Sarevok is, he is just a fighter and cannot match the power of a high-level mage. And in more specific terms, losing Edwin is going to mean losing his gigantic spell library, for example, not having access to all of those spells, and he had a lot of utility ones, like protection from fire, protection from magic energy, some spirit armors for Senashira, some summons, a death spell just in case, all in addition to all of the other essential spells. So in general, we're going to have much fewer spells to choose from, and we're going to have to be more careful when selecting spells to memorize on our other 2 mages. And in general, we're just going to end up having less options, and we're not going to have answers for everything anymore. There are going to be situations where we simply might not have the perfect spell to deal with them, and we're going to have to figure something out. Also, another consequence of losing Edwin in practice is not having the option of casting 3 spells in the same round. And that matters in certain circumstances more than in some others. For example, in some heavy arcane fights, if you remember some of the Lich fights, for example, from our past, we were able to unleash 3 anti-magic spells at a Lich in a single round. So, for example, 3 Ruby Rays of Reversal or something. And that was a powerful play. In one round we were basically able to wipe out all of the spell protections of a Lich. And now we're not going to be able to throw as many spells in every round. And of course that also pertains to, unleashing level 9 spells or high-level abilities at the same time, so we're not going to be able to cast as many of those at the same time. That also means not having 3 different sets of spell sequencers, which is going to make us less flexible, and just having 3 sources of arcane spells in general is valuable. Because our casters, of course, are not always in the perfect position to cast. Sometimes they might need to reapply some protection spells. Sometimes they are just away from where they need to be, and sometimes they might be silenced or otherwise disabled, or there might be some other circumstance preventing them from casting a certain spell, and just having more sources of those is just very valuable in a fight. So yeah, there are some powerful consequences that might not be immediately apparent at first glance, but they are there. Powerful consequences of not having Edwin and our third mage here with us anymore. So yeah, I love Edwin, love his personality and his spellcasting abilities, but I think ultimately it's going to be for the better if we do this switch here. Anyway, now let's take a look at Sarevok. And actually, let's first take a look at his biography, because he is not quite just a fighter. He is supposed to be a Deathbringer, which of course is not an official fighter kit, but it is going to give him some additional abilities that are described here. So Deathbringers can paralyze an opponent in melee through fear alone, as well as sometimes killing them, or the most powerful of opponents, in a single massive blow. And that refers to his abilities, because upon making melee attacks, he has 3% of a chance to deliver 200 slashing damage in one go. So, you know, when that happens, that's just going to kill, you know. So it can't be, you know, relied upon too much, but it is going to happen here and there. And that's going to make Sarevok sometimes just outright kill guys. And he also has a 10% chance of stunning an opponent. However, that effect actually allows a saving throw. It uses a save versus spell that made with a -4 penalty. But, you know, considering the saving throws of opponents in Throne of Bhaal, you know, they are going to be able to resist that effect quite often. But, you know, we might have some benefit out of that here and there as well. Alright, now let's take a look. Of course, his stats are excellent. He doesn't really need any equipment to fix any weaknesses or shortcomings or anything like that. He is going to be level 18, which is going to give him another proficiency point. And speaking of that, he is of course most proficient, fully proficient in two-handed swords. He also has two-handed weapon style, a ranged option in the form of a crossbow, and he kind of started leveling halberds. And we are going to continue with that, actually. Let's level him up now. And we are going to continue with halberds, because I think ultimately he is going to use Ravager. We could go into quarterstaves, but we kind of have Kiranai using quarterstaves if we are going to. And for a little bit more variety, I think halberds are going to be the way to go. With Sarevok, it's going to be fun. And yeah, of course, as a pure fighter, he got that half of an attack from level 7 and level 13. He also has Grand Mastery in two-handed swords, so he has a decent 3 attacks with a two-handed weapon, and he is going to get access to some high-level abilities soon. We also need to change his script. And also, now for a little addition coming from Ascension. So, if you... Oh, we actually got our Mask of King Strom back. No, we're going to drop that. That was, of course, the helmet that Edwin used, and since this is a quest item, it automatically got transferred to Senashira, but we're not going to need it anymore. But anyway, now, if you remember this Sword of Chaos that we have obtained at the beginning of Baldur's Gate 2 in Irenicus' dungeon, of course, this is Sarevok's old sword. And for us it was only a +2 enchanted sword, because of course it was made specifically for Sarevok, and only he could channel its full powers. And now, thanks to Ascension, we are going to be able to give it to him. And there's going to be a little something here. So he acknowledges it. My blade, is it? I had thought this lost forever. It is good to have it back. While I'll no longer have the essence to channel through it, it is still a Deathbringer's weapon, and I can restore much of its power. I would not suggest you attempt to use it yourself now, and now it's going to be restricted to Sarevok. You wouldn't have my armor too, hidden about somewhere within your packs? I suppose some things are too much to hope for. But yeah, now he is going to empower the blade, and now it's going to be a Sword of Chaos +4. Its description gets updated, if you want to, of course, as always, pause and read in detail. But now it's going to be a +4 enchanted two-handed sword with 10% magic resistance on it, and also he is going to be able to drain 5 hit points per hit. So this is pretty nice, giving him some additional damage and a way to give him a little bit more longevity, especially in this Throne of Bhaal environment, when he is just going to take damage. You know, he is going to reliably take damage from opponents, and this is going to allow him to out-heal some of it. So this is going to be his primary weapon. We can sell his normal two-handed sword +3, and these Boots of Speed he is going to get now. We also have a full plate mail for him. I think we're going to give him the blunt armor class belt. We also can give him these gauntlets, just for a little something. Oh yeah, and seeing this nymph cloak reminds me of something. Now we can, of course, inspect the stats of Senashira post our hell trials, and now, of course, from one of them, she got a benefit of getting an additional point of wisdom and charisma. So now she has a natural charisma of 20, so we're not going to need to swap into our nymph's cloak to get the maximum discounts coming from charisma. Now we can just go up to vendors and without any additional preparation and have the maximum discounts coming from charisma and reputation and just get the best prices everywhere. And of course now she has 17 dexterity, which of course for her doesn't really matter all that much because she is going to rely more than ever now in Throne of Bhaal on her magical protections. But anyway, we can re-equip Sarevok. He has a full plate +1 that we're going to sell. We can give him these, and we can also give him a better helmet, maybe this for starters. We could also give him some rings, like this ring of protection +2 for now. He can get that. He can get the amulet of missiles, and we can probably give him this ring of fire resistance. And yeah, now we have Sarevok with us, man. That's cool. Anyway, I know we are kind of over time, but let's conclude our dealings here with the pocket in our pocket plane, because this is how we are going to come to know this place by checking the spirit and Cespenar. Let's just not make him come up closer to us because he initiates his conversation automatically. Let's first check out that fate spirit. Greetings to you, child of Bhaal. I am an aspect of your fate, the thread that leads you unerringly along your destiny. In a way, I am part of you. I only follow the strands of fate that you weave with others, child. You tug at the entire pattern of the tapestry. Such is the strength of your own destiny. Of course, this refers to what we have heard many times, that of course our actions affect many others on our journey here. You also end the threads of many. Threads that touch you and get woven around you are cut short, dead, their future ended. Such is also your fate. So can you help me or not? I cannot touch your own thread, child, nor can I tell where it leads. I can, however, alter the threads of those whose lives are intertwined closely with your own, those whose destinies are tied to yours. Meaning what exactly? There are those who are tied to your fate and your future, whether they know of it or not. If their threads are within my reach, I can bring them to this place. If they are meant to be part of your future, yes. They will fall into your wake because their fates are tied to yours. And yeah, now we have the option here to summon our other companions. And we actually have Yoshimo here, but he's not going to be available, of course, after what happened to him. I cannot do as you ask, child of Bhaal. The one you seek is dead, and thus forever beyond my reach. His thread no longer connects with yours. And we're not going to have the ability to summon Dorn. The game realizes that he is permanently dead, but anyone else we are going to be able to summon. And we are going to use this option a little bit later on to summon Jan to get another copy of his adventureware. We're going to have need of his inventions again. So we're going to summon him later. For now, we're going to stick with our Bladesinger chain that we're actually going to upgrade in a second, because Cespenar here is going to be a person that we're going to be able to use to craft in Throne of Bhaal, much like we could use the services of Cromwell in Shadows of Amn. And there is a lot to craft in Throne of Bhaal. This whole feature was like much expanded in Throne of Bhaal. We also have these containers. They are empty. They can just serve as like stashes for us to just stash some stuff into them. And we are going to drop some things before we talk to Cespenar, because we already have some things to upgrade, but we also have things that are, one out of the 2 or more components, and we don't have anything to upgrade them with. For example, the Flail of Ages. There are 2 other flail heads that are going to be able to be attached to the Flail of Ages to upgrade it. And Cespenar, seeing that we have the Flail of Ages, is going to mention that, but he's not going to be able to do anything with it for now. So I am just going to drop a couple of things that we do have, but we don't have the ingredients to upgrade, so that he, you know, doesn't talk that much to us, because I do want to showcase his voiced lines, but actually this is the Case of Plenty, we can hold on to that. The Quiver of Plenty, we need a row stone to upgrade that, so we're going to drop that. So just, you know, while he's looking through our bags, he's not going to notice that, and he's not going to talk about that. And you dropped your fire tooth. I think this is everything, and now we can craft a few things before progressing further with some other stuff.
Hello?
What are you supposed to be?
I am the little butler for the Great Bhaal. Oh, yes! Or I was. It has been very lonely for me. No more master to serve for a very long time. Until now, that is.
Are you implying that I am your master now?
You did be calling me, Hero Great One. You did be creating me again. Cespenar would be pleased to be your butler. Oh, yes.
So yeah, now we have this butler, and he is such a cool character. I like him very much. Even his name is so cool, like Cespenar. That is just a cool name. Anyway, what use have I for a butler? What exactly do you do?
Oh, I does clean things. I goes and I collects the little things that finds their ways to the abyss. And when my master requests, I uses the recipes to making the shiny ones. Oh, yes.
And upon mentioning the shiny ones, he's going to get real excited. Yes, oh yes!
Yes, oh yes. Call on me you may. Use my recipes for you will. I make the shiny ones. Have not done this for some time, though. No new master have I. Cespenar gladly serve the Great One. Cespenar make good butler, yes? Would you like me to make you shiny ones? I have many recipes.
And we can ask about a list of his recipes, but all of them are in his head. There are actually some mods that convert Cromwell's like services and his, and like their whole conversations get converted where you can choose from a list. But for us, we're going to have to go with the normal mechanic here, where we just have to allow him to look through our bags and see if he can spot something that he could upgrade.
Ooh! Needs must I look through your belongings? Match them to recipes, must I? Let me see. Ooh! You like this one, maybe? Like a little smack on the tooth, huh?
So yeah, he notices the Bladesinger chainmail, and we also have the Scroll of Protection from normal weapons and 40,000 gold. So yeah, he can make it better.
Okay. Stands back then. Never used this recipe before. Could be messy.
And also the process of crafting or upgrading is much quicker compared to that of Cromwell's.
Enjoy! Now Cespenar goes back to his duties. Oh, yes! Lots of goodies to find. Lots to collect.
So yeah, he is done already. And yeah, 40,000 gold down the drain just like that. And now we have this Asliferan's Elven Chain, which is has a higher enchantment, giving us an armor class of 0. And it also gives us immunity to normal weapons, but of course at this point in Throne of Bhaal this is not too useful. And Kirana is going to look even more ridiculous with this on. Yeah, but we are going to keep her like that for a little while before we summon Jan and get his adventure wear again. Alright, so for this one we're going to just allow him to look for something else to upgrade.
Ooh! Ooh! Shower curtain! Oh, it's only a cloak! Nasty pattern, that!
So yeah, now we're going to be able to upgrade our cloaks of protection. We actually have 2 of them, and it requires 20,000 gold and a scroll of invisibility and improved haste, and we have enough of them. So we are going to be able to upgrade both of them, and it's going to be very, very worth it, for especially in our situation, now that we have lost Edwin. Anyway, good cloak, better than tablecloth. You want? Yeah, sure. So yeah, another 40,000 gold is going to be spent. So as you can see, this is why we have been collecting all that gold near the end of Shadow of Zoan. And now this does not improve its protective qualities, but it gives her the cloak 2 usable spells. Improved haste, that actually lasts for 23 rounds, and improved invisibility, that also lasts for 23 rounds. So those are basically improved haste and improved invisibility cast at level 20, because these spells last for 3 rounds and then an additional 1 round per level. So like a level 20 improved haste and improved invisibility, very, very nice. Especially since, you know, like I said, now that we have lost Edwin, we are going to have much use for abilities like that, because you know, we are of course not going to have all of his juicy level 6 spell slots, and these spell slots are going to be, you know, even more valuable now that we only have 2 mages at our disposal. So even, you know, as we decide to start memorizing improved haste, we're not going to have that many spell slots to spare for these spells. But, you know, this is where these cloaks come in handy. We actually have another one that Anoman has right now, but I think in between episodes I might do a little switch, because Anoman is not the greatest target for improved haste, having only like 3 attacks that he has. Yeah, if we improved haste him, that only brings him up to 6, and that's his cloak. But I think what we might do is perhaps give this cloak to Kirinai, once she actually gets access to Janssen Adventurewear. So now this would have to go to Jaheira, and perhaps we can switch this ring to and give that to Anoman. I'm going to think about how we're going to do all this, and do this in between recordings, and at the start of the next episode I'm going to report what I decided upon.
I must rest soon. I am weak when I am tired.
I think I see bracers of goody two-shoesness.
Bracers of goody two-shoesness. So he refers to Paladin's bracers, and they actually don't require any additional ingredients, just 10,000 gold. Might upgrade them just like that. And they're going to still just provide us with additional 10 HP, but they're going to have some spells on them now. So now they are Blessed Bracers, and now they can cast Cure Critical Wounds and Resurrection. Which is not spectacular, but it's something. And now he sees the Case of Bolts +1, and he can upgrade it to +2. Crossbows be sucky, but not quite so sucky with better bolts. Just 5,000 gold for this one. And yeah, the Quiver of Arrows, we actually need a Rogue Stone that we don't have right now. I think this is going to be it.
Nope. Nope. I see nothing more that matches with my recipes. No more shiny ones. Oh well. Back to cleaning, I guess.
So he is sad that he cannot do any more shiny ones for us. So yeah, now we have this Case of Plenty +2. For Imoen, we're going to be able to sell our bolts +2 later on. Now we can re-equip our guys with the stuff they dropped, and we can retrieve our this thing. And yeah, here's the rest of the loot that we have left on the previous map. Here are the wands. I'm probably going to give them to Sarevok for now to keep, but anyway. This is going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, even though it was very story heavy, with really no action. But starting from the next episode, we're going to have plenty more of that. So, as always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.